It finally happened. We hit 100,000 subscribers in 8 months. I don't want to spend this whole intro just yapping, but long story short, thank you. My original plan for this video was to do 100 cars ruined by TikTok, you know, to celebrate 100,000 subscribers. But as soon as I got to number 25 on the list, I realized how cooked I was, and that's not going to be possible to get 100 cars. So this is going to be a little over 30, but I still feel like I got the majority, if not all of the cars ruined by TikTok in this video. This is going to be a very long video, and in order not to make it longer than it's already going to be, I'll spend little to no time explaining some cars, simply because they're obvious and they need no explanation at all. But without further ado, let's just begin with the first of many cars that TikTok has taken down. And what better way to start this video than with the OG TikTok car itself, the Toyota Supra Mark IV. Honestly, this car has been getting overrated way before TikTok became a platform, but we can all agree that TikTok enhanced its overratedness. I'm sure that's not a word, but you know exactly what I mean. The Supra started the whole cringe edit wave and just unnecessary glaze of cars in the community. It's like the George Washington of overrated cars. I'm pretty sure the whole Supra thing started from the Fast and the Furious era, but I swear it wasn't that bad then. But when people started building them like crazy, like putting all these crazy engines and like upgrades into it, like I'm talking 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 horsepower Supras, that's what attracted the attention of the 12-year-olds. And now you can't even get a stock Mark IV Supra for under 70 grand. The power of TikTok, ladies and gentlemen. Anyways, we all know about the Supra Mark IV, so I don't see the need to spend all that time explaining it to you guys why it's overrated, so let's just move on. And let's move on to the modern day Supra, I like to call it. The car that everybody hopped on, everybody who used to glaze the Supra back then hopped on today. And you probably already know, but it's the BMW F90 M5. With the release of the new G90 M5, it would make more sense why this car will be glazed. But no, for some reason, even way before the G90 was announced, everyone started to treat the whole BMW brand differently, almost overnight, and I have no idea why. It's like one morning I just woke up from my sleep and all of a sudden the whole social media was filled with BMWs. No, actually, you know what it is? It was the BMW M5 CS. You know how when it first came out and then everybody started drag racing it and it was referred to as the supercar killer? Yes, so whenever anyone literally made a video about any car, there was always those BMW has entered the chat kids. Yes, those are the guys who ruined the F90 M5. But for this next one though, I do want to talk about another M5, but this time it's the E60 generation, the car with the most overrated engine on this planet. All it has to offer is its sound. An unpopular opinion, I don't think it's one of the best sounding V10s. It's not even top 3 in my opinion. At least not with the Carrera GT, the Lexus LFA, and the Dodge Viper existing. This car is just straight problems. Like, yeah, it's a cool concept, but I don't think it was executed properly at all. But again, all the kids see is clips on TikTok and just ride with the popular consensus. Wow, it's an M5 with a V10. Yeah, it has a V10 that wouldn't last 10,000 miles. Going through this list right now, there is so much BMWs, it's actually crazy. But let's stray away from the BMWs for a moment and let's talk about the NA Miata, the most overpriced shitbox on this planet. Next, we have the Lamborghini Huracan, and this one is more of the drivers rather than the fans. It's just an extremely basic choice in supercars, so every teenager who's made it in life has a Huracan. It's always the first option, whether you want to rent a supercar or you actually want to own one. It just got overplayed, but in no means am I saying it's a bad car, because it's not. It's extremely popular for a reason, and that's because it's an actual good car. I'd take a Huracan if you handed it to me, and I'm sure all of you watching would as well, but would I buy with my own money? That I don't know. But next, we have one that hurts my heart to say. Like, when you guys mentioned this car in the Discord chat, I genuinely fell to my knees, and that car is the Chevrolet Corvette C63 I don't know if I'm just not as active as TikTok as I used to be, but apparently the C6 has been getting overrated on there, and many of you guys actually agreed. That hurts, but oh well, it's not gonna stop me from glazing it. Oh yeah, and one of you said the new C801 is gonna be a TikTok car. I even made a whole short about it, but no, do not say that. I mean, if it is, who cares? I'm still gonna like the car. Let's move on though. I kind of like how we're moving through this quick because I don't want this video to be an hour long, and we're doing good, so let's keep up the pace. And this one isn't technically one car, so we're gonna look at it as like more of an honorable mention, but every single creation of this man Smokey Nagata needs to be on this list. I have no idea why so many kids worship this man, but damn, he's a legend. Yeah, but relax, buddy. But at least the Smokey Nagata fans are growing up, or they're just dying out, unlike the new Koenigsegg fans, the Jesko fans. Don't get me started on them. But now it's a little more what's the word? It's more permissible now. I say this because we got a sneak peek of what the Jesko can do after the 0 to 400 and back to 0 record. So yeah, maybe it is the world's fastest car, but until then, it's all claims. So stop with the delusion. But I think it's time we get back to the BMWs. We definitely took a long enough break from them. So next, we have the F80 and the F82 BMW. So this is two cars. It's just typical BMW kids, same corny and unrealistic comparisons. What's new? Actually, no. You know what's new? The Koenigsegg Gemera. It's so new, it hasn't even come out yet, and somehow TikTok has found a way to ruin it. The Porsche 992 911 GT3 RS. Great car, just slightly overhyped by little kids. Again, it's not as apparent as it once was when the car first came out, but I still see some 911 GT3 RS kids here and there. Next, we have the Honda Civic and the whole laptop thing on how the laptop makes your Honda Civic into an F-22 fighter jet. It's annoying, joke or not, I just don't find it funny. I would say we're moving through this list extremely fast, and so far we're doing extremely good. If you've made it this far, just consider liking and subscribing. I would say road to 100k, but we're already there, so road to 200k. Oh yeah, and some of you guys have been asking where I got that wall art from, so I'm just gonna put in the description. They have plenty of options. Get whatever car you like. I'm gonna leave it in my description. But let's continue though. The Mazda RX-7, the Dorito car. This is just like every other JDM. Not sure, but back in the day, I did a little research, and apparently this car is just like the E60 M5. And what I mean is that from an outside perspective, like knowing what the engine is and not actually owning the car, it's a great car. But being an owner of this car, I heard it's just straight problems. The Rotary is extremely unreliable, the same way the E60 M5's engine is unreliable. I mean, when you get the car to actually run, it's a good car, but it's gonna be in the shop more than it's actually running. But hey, at least it sounds cool, right? The Pagani Zonda R, another car that hurts me to be on this list. I personally love it, but according to you guys, it's a TikTok car, and not gonna lie, I have seen some cringe edits on it. It's mostly due to the fact that apparently this car can make you go deaf if you're too close to it. I'm not sure how true that is, but yeah, the Zonda R deserves to be on this list. As sad and painful that is to say, it's true. But the next one is a rather interesting one, and that is the Lexus LFA. I call this interesting because before it was a TikTok car, it was overrated by TikTok. You can even check out this video I made on it when I first started making content in general. Mind you, this video was in November 2023, and it was just overall one of my first videos I ever made. Today I'm sharing my opinion on a car that most people like, but I actually think is overrated. And because I think this car is overrated doesn't necessarily mean I think it's a bad car. I just think there's better. The car that I'm referring to is the Lexus LFA. Now it's 2024, and I've made countless videos on how the LFA isn't any more overrated, but rather now overhated. Me personally, I never went around calling the LFA garbage. I just thought it was a one-trick pony, but I've always knew the sound was one of the best. But recently though, people have been saying it sounds terrible, and they've just been trying to be different. But if everybody tried to be different, everybody would be the same. And that's currently the case of the LFA, and everyone's saying it's trash. Not sure if that made any sense, but let's move on. The Lamborghini Aventador SVJ. This one is kind of on the same boat as the LFA, but I just don't think it's as bad, you know? The SVJ sounds great. People who say it doesn't are trying to be different, especially with the Gantani exhaust. Yeah, it's the basic choice of good sounding cars to go with, but that's simply because it's one of the best. Next, we have a silly one, and that's the Audi RS6 with the whole kerosene trend. I never understood this one because people think it's cool to make edits of someone who died in a car accident. It's so childish to me. Now the RS6 is literally only associated with that trend, and it's kind of corny to me. But now I want to get into some cars that have never been driven but are still somehow ruined by TikTok. The Mercedes T80, the Dodge SRT Tomahawk, and the Tesla Roadster. These cars have never been driven, or rather they're not available to the general public. And somehow there's still edits and people who claim that these cars are more insane than they actually know. Like, you don't know how fast the Mercedes C80 is because it really never went over 50 miles an hour. Probably even less. I don't understand the community sometimes. Like, your brain literally begins to rot when you're on TikTok for more than 30 minutes. It's insane. I heard YouTube Shorts is worse, but you'd never catch me watching YouTube Shorts in the first place. But I do know there's a huge YouTube Shorts audience for the car scene. I mean, that's where half my audience comes from. So it will make sense that the car community on this space is also kind of brain rot. But the Mercedes T80, the Tesla Roadster, and the SRT Tomahawk are not cars that should be on this list. But here we are. Next though, we have the G35, and we might as well add the 350Z to that car. So let's consider that as two cars. Just VQs in general. This one, I'm not sure if TikTok ruined it or its own community, but VQs are never associated with anything good. It's either reckless driving, terrible exhausts, garbage mods, takeovers. I could go on and on because VQs are no good. I mean, they're cheap and accessible, but that's really what makes it what it is. The fact that anyone can get their hands on them and they produce very decent power and it's rear wheel drive. So you know what I'm talking about. It kind of makes sense, but I personally, you guys know how I feel about VQs. They're not my favorite cars. I don't like the community it has, and that's the main reason I'm even putting it on this list. Nobody suggested it. This is my pick. Again though, it might not be a TikTok car, if that makes any sense. But you guys know that one Mercedes at Le Mans that took off in the air? I'm pretty sure it's called the Mercedes CLR GTR. I might be wrong. But this one is just another case of the Audi RS6. Because you have these kids thinking it's cool to make an edit of a crash. I'm not gonna yap about it again, especially since I just talked about the RS6, but this car is definitely belonging on this list. Next, we have the R34 and the R35 Nissans. These are some of the cars that started the whole overrated trend with the Supra. It was the Supra, the R34, and pretty much every car that was in the whole Fast and Furious franchise. Franchise, Jesus. And then the R35 just followed. Being the successor of the R34, it was bound to get the same treatment. But that would make sense if I thought the MK5 Supra was overrated, but I actually don't think it's overrated. If anything, it's overhated. Just like the LFA. I low-key want to make a video on cars that I think are overhated because nowadays it's becoming more and more. Let me know if that's something you guys might want to see. That would be fun to make, I think. Anyways, let's move on to the W204 C63 AMG. This one, I really didn't feel like it was a TikTok car until I made a video calling the American V8s the best sounding V8s. And to be honest, I thought this was a unanimous take, a take that everyone agreed with. But apparently, people think that a W204 C63 sound better than a cammed LS. I'm not even gonna sit here and talk. I'm gonna just play the clips for you. Just let me know in the comments which one you think sounds better. There's a wrong answer, and it's not the Corvette. Next, we have the SLS AMG. This was suggested by someone, but I'm not sure how or why it's on here, but you guys said it, so I'm trusting you. The Bugatti Bolide. This one is kind of weird, because I used to dislike the car because of the fan base who used to talk about it and just surround themselves with it. It was a community full of majority 12-year-olds, I should say. But after seeing the Bolide at the Goodwood Festival, I immediately fell in love. This car is phenomenal, but I still think it falls under this category. I swear, it's the edits, man. The edits make up 90% of TikTok cars. If I really wanted to, I can make a troll-faced edit of a Honda CR-V and make a Honda CR-V become a TikTok car. Y'all just gotta stop with these edits and everything will be fine. That's another reason why I'll say the Demon and the Hellcats belong on this list as well. But then again, the drivers, just like the community, are equally as annoying. Whoa, friendly fire. Grow up. But that isn't really much to do with TikTok, but rather its owners. The Hellcat is slightly overrated as well, just like the LFA and the other car I mentioned, I forgot. I feel like lots of people like to not give it the credit it actually deserves. Like no other gas-powered sedan on this planet produces 700 horsepower. And the Charger Hellcat has been doing it since 2015. And now it even goes up to 807 horsepower. Almost a decade later, it's still the only one. Now, how well does it utilize that power? I don't know, but it's still a good feat to have. The car is insane nonetheless. But next, we have the BMW M4 GT3 car. Yes, even BMW's GT3 car is a TikTok car. It's just every BMW at this point, but nah, this one is actually cool. I actually love this car a lot, but it definitely belongs on this list simply because of the death stare. I think there's about one more BMW on this list, so let's just get it over with. But that is the E30 M3, the most overrated BMW on this planet. Yes, I said it. I think this car is actually garbage. I don't care what you say. Okay, it's not garbage, but I don't think it's better than the F80 or the G80 or even the E92. And the people who go around saying the E30 M3 is the best generation are just trying to be different, because I genuinely think this car is as mid as it could get. Cool design though. Finally, we're done with BMWs though, so we can actually move on to the final few cars on this list. It's actually going way faster than I anticipated. We're going through it like that. This video is probably not even going to be long at all. But now we are going to move on to the Tesla Plaid. I don't know what community is worse, the kids who try to be edgy and hate on Teslas because it's an electric car, or the grown adult who thinks 0 to 60 on the Tesla is the end of the world. Either ways, I think the Plaid is a car that has one of the worst communities on the internet. I'm just right now thinking about how hard this video is going to be to edit. I might be cooked, but at least I have 100k subscribers. But nah though, today is currently the 6th of August and I'm sitting about 99,000 subs flat. So hopefully I can actually get this video to come up when I hit 100,000 subscribers. Let's move on to the final 3 cars that TikTok has taken away from us. One of them unfortunately being the Bugatti Chiron. This is just because of that whole "what color is your Bugatti" phase from Andrew Tate when he first got popular on the internet. You guys know what clip I'm talking about, but I'm gonna play it again just for the people who don't know.
I like the color. You like the color? Yeah. Yeah, I had mixed reviews on the color. Some people said they like it, some people said they don't like it, and I said, well, what color is your Bugatti?
But I will say this though, the Bugatti fan base is nowhere near as toxic as the Koenigsegg fan base. They're rivals. Both great brands with garbage communities. What's new? Next though, we have the Nissan S15 Silvia, my personal favorite JDM car, but apparently it's a TikTok car as well. But finally though, the last car that has been ruined by TikTok is the Ferrari F40. I think this car is the most beautiful car according to popular belief. What I'm trying to say is if you take 200 car guys and ask them what's the most beautiful car ever made, the F40 would be the most mentioned car. And obviously that's not a bad thing. I think it looks great, but it's just slightly overrated. Well, that's it. About 35 cars that TikTok has ruined. And the crazy part is that number is only gonna go up and up. Anyways though, thanks again for 100,000 subscribers. And until next time, my friends.